Imagine gaining access to like a highly coveted software program. You have the access key, you use it every day, but it is essentially an open source license with incredibly strict terms of service.
Right. And the moment you violate those terms, say, by working with a competing developer, they just permanently revoke your access.
Exactly. So welcome to this deep dive. Today we are looking at the legal frameworks of Mexican nationality by naturalization. We're going through the 2026 legal updates to really understand the fast tracks to getting that passport and, well, the surprisingly strict conditions for keeping it.
So the baseline for naturalization in Mexico is 5 years of continuous residency. But if you look at the 2026 updates, the Secretariat of Foreign Affairs, or SRE, they're actively fast-tracking specific demographics to just 2 years.
Wow, 2 years is a massive jump.
Yeah, it applies to people originally from Latin America or the Iberian Peninsula and, spouses or parents of Mexicans. There's even a 1-year track for adopted minors.
Okay, let's unpack this, because it feels a bit like a VIP express lane at a theme park, right? I mean, I saw the 2-year track also applies to individuals providing, quote, outstanding cultural, scientific, or business services. But I have to wonder, how does a government bureaucracy actually quantify outstanding? It sounds completely subjective.
Oh, it is entirely subjective. The law basically leaves that judgment solely to the SRE. They evaluate your tangible impact on the nation, so it's not a standardized checklist.
Wait, really? No checklist at all?
Not at all. And even if you do get approved for a fast track, you still face this massive logistical bottleneck. Currently, applicants are looking at a 6 to 12-month wait, a fee of around 9,500 pesos, and, well, some pretty rigorous exams.
Right, the tests on Spanish, Mexican history, and cultural integration.
Exactly. You study, pass the exams, pay the fees, and finally secure the passport. But the thing is, unlike a natural-born citizen whose status is an absolute right, a naturalized citizen status is surprisingly fragile.
See, here is where it gets really interesting. Because getting through that express lane doesn't mean your status is permanent.
No, not at all. The law operates under a completely different set of rules for naturalized citizens. You can actually lose your Mexican nationality if you voluntarily acquire a foreign nationality.
Or simply reside abroad continuously for 5 years, right?
Right.
There's also that rule about losing citizenship for accepting a foreign noble title, which is wild. If I'm a naturalized citizen and I hypothetically accept a knighthood from a European monarch, does that actually trigger a revocation?
It does, actually. It ties back to sovereignty. When you naturalize, you swear an oath expressly renouncing fidelity to any foreign power.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so a noble title implies submission to a foreign state, which completely breaks that oath. And the penalties for violating these terms are severe.
How severe are we talking?
Well, entering or leaving Mexico posing as a foreigner hits you with heavy fines tied to the daily minimum wage. We're talking the equivalent of 300 to 500 days of pay.
That is massive.
And if you commit fraud during your application, that penalty jumps to 400 to 800 days of pay.
So, because the penalties for fraud are so high, up to 800 days of wages, I mean, the government can't just rely on the honor system anymore. And that leads directly to how they enforce this today.
Exactly. That's why the SRE completely overhauled their detection tech for 2026. They rolled out mandatory digital appointments and advanced biometric validation.
So what does this all mean in practice?
Well, it's specifically engineered to detect falsified birth certificates and, crucially, to catch simulated marriages of convenience.
Okay, I get using biometrics to catch fake documents, sure, but how do fingerprints and facial recognition prove a marriage is simulated?
By tracking biometric data across multiple government databases, the system basically flags anomalies.
Like what kind of anomalies?
Say the SRE sees that your supposed spouse has suddenly registered biometric appointments using entirely different family members in another state. The system automatically red flags the marriage as a simulated setup.
Wow. It's a fascinating contrast, To acquire citizenship, you have to pass this deeply humanistic exam, proving your cultural and historical knowledge. But retaining it, and the government's method of enforcing it, relies on cold, hard biometric tracking.
Yeah, it really highlights a government demanding genuine cultural integration while requiring absolute measurable legal certainty. They trust your historical knowledge, but they absolutely verify your biometrics.
It's a stark reminder for anyone navigating this process that naturalization is a heavily guarded privilege with permanent strings attached. You get the software license, but you are permanently bound by the terms of service.
Precisely.
Which leaves us with a lingering question for you to think about. In our modern era of digital nomads and global citizens, does revoking a naturalized citizen's nationality simply because they lived abroad for 5 years contradict the reality of a borderless world?